Hello, I'm Jacob Morris and welcome to London Undergrads. Tonight we'll be looking at mainstream music versus underground music, an in-depth album review from our music expert, and here in the studio an interview with two up-and-coming musicians and their take on the music industry and the direction it's going. Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande. These names you've most likely have heard of even if you don't listen to their music. These artists are considered to be mainstream artists due to their popularity. Yet throughout the world, there's a less well-known type of music, called underground. We sent Tom Proctor to the streets of London to find out more.
Underground music in London is defined by its influence on the wider music world, as well as its grassroots origins. From humble starting points, such as producer Joe Meek's tangible influence on later underground American acts, to the anti-industry counterculture sentiment seen in things like Henry Cow's legendary Rock in Opposition festival and subsequent genre of music of the same name. This dynamic has continued even into the new millennium, with electronic producers in South and East London cultivating jungle, garage, and early dubstep, which influenced later American producers, while also providing an underground counterpoint to the popular Britpop and post-punk revival genres. But where does that leave underground music today? Well, to get at least one different perspective on the issue, I've come to some record shops in Soho to talk to the sort of people who are at the forefront of the modern scene.
Coming on to the light of day, we got many moons that are deep at play, so I keep an eye on the shadow, smile to see what it has to say.
Okay, so what is your opinion on the current state or progression of underground music in London? I know it's sort of a general question, but that's going to be the start point.
Okay, well, it's kind of almost like saying like how long's a piece of string, because it's always going to be progressing and moving. But at the same time, you have like more and more venues starting to open up now. Like, it's at a time when more and more people can afford to record themselves and put out more records that way. So more releases are happening. So generally, I'd say yeah, it's pretty healthy.
That's good. That's good. Okay, a bit more specific with the next one. What impact have internet services such as SoundCloud or streaming programs, for example, had on the underground scene, do you think?
Well, it means people being able to get their music out there easier, quicker, for free, but don't necessarily have to rely on people coming to them. They can just get out there. So obviously it's a good thing. Like you have the knock-on effect on record shops as well, but if people get out there, like in theory, they'll be making records, which will then come to us. So the cycle continues. So.
All right. Sounds good, the natural progression of things. Okay, and finally, this one you ought to know about. What impact, if any, has the resurgence of vinyl had on underground music in London?
Well, more vinyl is obviously coming out now. Like, it's had an effect in both ways, because like obviously more and more places are selling records again, which is good. But you also have the knock-on effect, which is several like bigger labels which are clogging up the plants. So releases now which would take like 6 weeks to come out can take 6 months to come out, which if you're a smaller band and a more underground band can be potentially really damaging.
I can understand that would definitely hurt things. Okay, so that's all the questions we've got. Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and don't worry, we'll be seeing him again soon. With the mainstream music themes being catchy yet repetitive, some album creators look at giving a deeper meaning to the music. We go to our album review expert Tom Proctor for a review that we hope will change your views on a certain well-known album.
Thank you very much. Now, the album I'm going to be reviewing today is a classic of the early 2000s, something that really gets into sort of the life of people who were living back then and captures the atmosphere of just sort of the media of that kind of George Bush, Tony Blair, post-9/11 society and the sort of things that were happening back then in TV and the media at large. Now, what you'd normally expect me to do at this time is to introduce American Idiot by Green Day. But no. The album I'm reviewing today is Cassette Boys' 2001 Plunderphonics masterpiece, the Parker tapes. Cassette Boy you may know as something of a YouTube sensation for their comedy remixes of figures such as Barack Obama and David Cameron. But they've been at this for a very long time. This album, for instance, pulls no punches as a 90-something track, essentially non-stop ride of the sort of things they've been doing on YouTube recently. And while you may say, oh, well, there's nothing special about that, well, consider the innovation there. This was 5 or so years before YouTube launched. Nobody else was doing anything like this. It's almost proto-YouTube in a way, to get it, if we want to start coining buzzwords. But aside from that, the album holds its weight in its own regard, even when you discount the significance of when it came out. The samples here are used very well, from long-winded cut and paste jobs, for example on the track Nolliver, which is a minute 40-something send-up of celebrity chef Jamie Oliver, in which he confesses to a number of not very pleasant things about himself, and shorter tracks such as Chocolate Sushi, where the joke is so sudden and pinpoint precision that it takes you completely by surprise and you almost have to laugh. And that's another very big appealing factor of this album, is that it's funny as hell. This is best seen on one of the final tracks on the album, Fly Me to New York, in which audio clips of old Frank Sinatra performances are cut in such a way that he admits to carrying out the World Trade Center attacks. This is the sort of dark humor that this album adopts and just rolls with for the entirety of the album, never pulling any punches, never giving you a chance to wait or catch your breath. You're along for the ride, whether you like it or not. It's a brilliant album. I award it 8.5 out of 10. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Tom. I'll never look at music in the same way again. With the changes to music promotion and meanings, I'm here with 2 new musicians to interview them on the difficulties in competing against mainstream music and how they're tackling this problem. So can I give a warm welcome to Kyle and Henry from the band Jerry Toad and his Crimson Ark. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, what kind of genre would you consider yourselves to be, and how is it kind of unique?
Well, we've got our general genre is Toad rock, but it can consist of anything from rock and roll, blues, jazz, electronic, maybe even ambient, and we just work around that, and we've got this conglomerate name.
Yeah, so being a kind of interesting act like you are, and this rapid growth of social media we've seen over the last few years, have you been able to use that to your benefit?
Yeah, with social media, it gets ever more expanding. You've got so many different websites that link with each other now. You can really get sort of everywhere for not a lot of money
SoundCloud,
as well.
Facebook, Twitter, just to put out our music.
And in terms of getting out there, do you think the big money that comes from the big sort of ticket deals with the record labels helps bands get out there and promote themselves?
It very much does help, because with the more money you have, the more you can do. You've got less limitations, but it doesn't always help with the promotion, the creation of the music or
music itself.
Yeah.
So do you feel like a lot of people that mainstream music sort of become more about image and performance than the actual music behind it?
Yeah, most certainly. I think so, because you look at people now and it's all flashy cars, flash money everywhere. It's just money, money, money.
So it's a bit of a shame that it's...
It is a shame, yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and if you had the budget from a record company, would you push your image or would you try and push the music at the front of what you do?
Music, definitely.
Most definitely push the music, because that's our every essence. Image doesn't matter. It could be trash for all we care. Once expression comes into it, that's what you like to do.
And finally, in this sort of new digital music world we live in, what is there out there to support you and get new musicians out there?
Well, there's certainly, obviously, social media. There's contact with different record labels. But to get yourself out there, it's just create, and just keep on trying.
Yeah, well, thank you both for your insight into the music industry. It's a real look at what it's like for you guys, and from everyone here, we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
That's all we have time for, folks. I hope you've learned something new about the music industry and the challenges people face. Hopefully we can catch you next time on our next London Undergrad show. Have a wonderful evening. I've been Jacob, and thank you for watching.